Whether you're new to gravel riding, you've been doing it for years and years, or you think it's a load of marketing BS, there are some important things I think we need to discuss. So, let's dive in. I want to dispute a big myth about gravel bikes straight away, that they aren't 90s mountain bikes. And I remember I was there in the 90s and mountain bikes were rubbish. And during the pandemic lockdown, I actually bought an old 90s mountain bike and did a comparison with a modern gravel bike. That video is linked down below in case you want to watch it. Yes, there are similarities in terms of riding experience, but the actual bikes couldn't be more different if you tried. A modern gravel bike is far more capable than an old 90s mountain bike. It's lighter, stiffer frame, better gears, lower gears, way better brakes, just works better, offers better performance than a 90s mountain bike. And even a gravel bike with a suspension fork, as I'm quite fond of, is still better than any old 90s mountain bike. And the trot out that gravel bike is a 90s mountain bike is a bit of a lazy stereotype really. Yes, there are parallels, and for me, riding a gravel bike does remind me of the freedom of riding a 90s mountain bike, riding whatever trail you had on your doorstep and linking together a road, no driving to a trail centre, and the simplicity of a bike that was very often underbiked and not really up to a task which a gravel bike is. And that underbiking is something I really enjoy about a bike like this. Yes, it's not always the best bike. Oftentimes it's far from being the best bike we're on the road or off-road compared to a mountain bike, but that's part of the beauty and the charm and the appeal of a gravel bike for riding those sort of trails. Firstly, and the biggest one, yes, gravel is a rubbish name. I know it, and I'm sure most of you know it as well, but unfortunately it has stuck. The name gravel is a bit misleading because, well, look, there's no gravel here, but I consider this gravel riding off-road. In the US, gravel makes a lot more sense because they have gravel roads, but here in the UK and across Europe, we don't have as much gravel, and we have a wider variety of wooden trails like this, which we consider fall under the scope of a bike like this. You might call it 90s mountain biking, but the way mountain biking has progressed means that 90s mountain biking is well suited to a bike like these, while mountain biking has gone off down another route of extreme riding. Gravel bikes now do that riding that I used to do on a mountain bike in the 90s, which is riding the trails you had on your doorstep and linked together with a road where you had to. You made the most of what was on your doorstep or surrounding countryside. And there are lots of better names the industry could have come up with. There was a small period where all-road was being touted as a good option. I think ATB, all-terrain bike, is a good option, but that's sort of used by mountain biking back in the 90s, so it never really caught on. And another one is rough stuff, but that name's been around since the 50s here in the UK, well before gravel became gravel, so maybe there are better names. Now, I ride mountain bikes, but I live in the UK, and there are very few mountains. But when I say mountain biking, most people know what it means. And I think we're getting to a point now where most people, more or less, there are a few exceptions, I've seen it in the comments, that most people know what a gravel bike is and the type of riding it means. You might think a gravel bike is just for riding gravel and off-road, but they're actually really versatile and really adaptable, and that's part of their beauty and part of their popularity right now. Because yes, you have a gravel bike with knobby tyres on, but with a change of wheels and tyres, you have yourself a road bike. Put a 30mm slick on there or a 40mm slick tyre, and you have a really comfy road mile munching bike. For riding to work, for a Sunday ride, for touring or relaxing, or add some mud guards, and you have a really nice winter training bike, ideal for here in the UK where it rains all the time. Gravel bikes are all about adventure, and for many people that can mean bike packing. Add some bags, top tube there, seat pack, frame pack, handlebar bag, add some sleeping equipment, some cooking equipment, and some spare clothes, and you can plan your own adventure. And it's as easy as putting a dot on the map and riding to that destination. You can create a route on Strava, commute, you can find a well-trodden route on bikepacking.com and have a good website. Pick a route, find some mates, or go on your own. Riding gravel adventures on your own is fantastic. that freedom and sense of adventure, and go and have your own adventure, as big or small as you want it to be. One of the reasons gravel bikes have become so popular over the last few years is not actually for gravel riding, but because these bikes are the most accessible types of bike out there. More accessible than a road race bike, more accessible than a complex mountain bike. We've got drop handlebars, which people are familiar with from road bikes. We've got nice, low, easy gears, big, chunky, low pressure tyres, powerful hydraulic disc brakes, and a more relaxed, laid back geometry than a road race bike, making these a really accessible, easy bike to ride for people of a wide range of skills, from beginners to more experienced people alike. So really easy bike to ride, commuting, touring, bike packing, racing, adventure riding, or just hacking around the woods on the weekends. So accessibility and that low barrier of entry is one reason why bikes have become so popular. When you get away from the world of gravel racing, that does seem to dominate the sort of agenda for gravel bikes. And it's because these bikes put the fun back into riding that has so many people been lost over the last 10 or 15 years, when glory through suffering has become the mantra for so many people. Very sadly, it has to be said as well. These bikes evoke that memory of riding a bike when you were a kid with no rules, just riding around the woods or the playground or the housing estate, tearing up the streets with your mates. All great fun, and these bikes put the fun back into riding because there are no rules. You can dress how you want, ride where you want, on the road, off-road, at any speed. It's not about racing, it's not about Strava KOMs and average power outputs, just about riding, exploring, getting away from the daily stress of our modern lives and just enjoying being out on the bike in the open countryside, because that ultimately is what it's all about. And if you are into events and racing, because I know lots of people are driven by competition as a goal, as a motivational aid, then gravel events, in my experience, are way more laid back, way more fun, and have a way better atmosphere than any road event, sportive or road race, in my experience. So you have a great time on a bike with like-minded people and have a beer at the end of the ride as well. You also don't need to wear any of that funny special clothing that roadies wear. Aero helmets, skin suits, tall socks. Just wear some baggy shorts, a nice t-shirt, and off you go. You need flat pedals and trainers, it's all fine. So a gravel bike really is a blank canvas for you to put your own style onto it, to adapt it to your riding style and your preference for riding a bike, whether more road leaning or more off-road focused, bike packing, touring, mudguards, whatever it might be. So there is no limit to how you adapt a bike like this for your riding style, and that is a beauty. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this list. Anything I've missed, let me know by leaving a comment down below. And if you want to see a video on 5 reasons why I think gravel riding is so good, then watch the video up here, and don't forget to subscribe by hitting this button down here. But that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching.